Sports, home of racing's biggest events, proudly presents Summer at Saratoga.
It's a carnival atmosphere for one of the marquee days of the Saratoga 150 celebration, Whitney Handicap Day, one of America's top races for older horses, commemorating the contributions of the Whitney family over the first 150 years of Saratoga Racecourse in upstate New York. Today's favorite is Fort Larned, attempting to become only the second back-to-back winner in the 86-year history of the Whitney Handicap. It will all unfold today as Summer at Saratoga continues.
We got a big, big love.
Saratoga is just such a special place. Any race course that's been thriving for 150 years, I think that kind of tells you how special it is.
But it is Holy Bull as game as a racehorse could be coming down to the wire. Holy Bull wins! What a hero!
I think of all the racetracks, and there's a million beautiful racetracks around America, but this has to be the number one.
It's not somebody's idea of a Victorian racetrack. It is a Victorian racetrack. It's the real thing. There's a roof up here that's 100 years old.
You could almost close your eyes and almost imagine Jim Dandy coming down the stretch.
Strange things can happen at Saratoga. Man of War lost here. Gallant Fox lost here. Secretariat lost here.
Onion has the lead by a head. Secretariat on the inside past the 16th ball. It's Onion in front.
What Saratoga means to the whole racing business, it's a major part of American racing.
And the type of races that they have here is just it's a jockey's dream.
It will be Palace, Malice, and Mike Smith to win the Jim Dandy by a length.
Oh, this is my town, man. I love Saratoga.
On August 3rd, 1863, an American tradition was born in upstate New York. And after all this time, history is still being made. The next 150 years of America's oldest sporting venue begin today. It's Summer at Saratoga. And this is Summer at Saratoga. The featured race today, the $750,000 Whitney Invitational Handicap. It was 150 years to the day that racing began here at Saratoga, and the timeless images haven't changed all that much. It's as much fun to go to the races at Saratoga today as it was back in the Victorian era, and a big crowd on hand today for the Whitney Handicap. This is the second weekend of our Summer at Saratoga series, with the Whitney featured today. The four-star Dave with Horse of the Year Wise Dan next Saturday, and on Sunday the Adirondack and Saratoga special for 2-year-olds. Then the Alabama, followed by the Travers, should be a great race, and winding things up the Labor Day weekend, and the Woodward, the featured race then. And welcome to Saratoga, everyone. Tom Hammond, joined by Randy Moss and Jerry Bailey. And we got things underway last weekend with a look at Belmont Stakes winner Palace Malice and the Jim Dandy Stakes.
The whole weekend was a Todd Pletcher fest. First of all, Palace Malice runs the second fastest Jim Dandy Stakes in the 50-year history of the race, with Mike Smith aboard, outrunning Will Take Charge and Moreno, the second and third place finishers. And as if that wasn't impressive enough, the very next day on the Jersey Shore at Monmouth in the Haskell, Verrazano wins by almost 10 lengths. And Jerry, to me, this was the best race any 3-year-old has run since Big Brown 5 years ago in the Kentucky Derby.
Impressive is the operative word here, but the question is, was it too impressive to come back in 4 weeks in the Travers? Was it too much of an effort? Oxbow was disappointing. He was injured. He won't run, but certainly a great fill-in in Verrazano.
So both are headed to the Travers, and so is Orb, the Derby winner, who worked this morning at Fair Hill in Maryland, 5/8 in a minute. Should be a great race, the Travers. But today we turn our attention to the Whitney Handicap, the older horses, 8 horses with a combined $11.5 million in earnings. They line up like this: Successful Dan, the 7-year-old Grade 2 winner, 4th in the Stephen Foster. Mucho Macho Man, winner of $2 million, 3rd in his last. Fort Larned, last year's Whitney and Breeders' Cup Classic winner. Cross Traffic, who was beaten the nose in the Met Mile. Ron the Greek was 2nd in this race last year, 3rd in the Stephen Foster. Alpha, the dead heat winner of the 2012 Travers, but 0 for 5 since. Chaba, the graded winner who takes a step up in class today. And Fast Falcon, 3rd in the Suburban Handicap. And this is a Breeders' Cup win, and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic today, just adding to the drama of what is a great field.
And how about Saratoga celebrating its 150th birthday today with the best race we've seen so far this year in America from top to bottom, featuring a rematch of last year's Breeders' Cup Classic between Fort Larned and Mucho Macho Man. What a show they put on at Santa Anita last November. And Ron the Greek was in here as well, finishing fourth. But here's the kicker. They may not be the best horses in the Whitney. You've got Cross Traffic, who's really coming into his own, and Successful Dan, who beat both Fort Larned and Mucho Macho Man last year at Churchill Downs. It's an amazing race.
It is an amazing race, and it's going to be interesting to see how the pace unfolds. Jockeys are going to play a big part.
Tom, guys, it's a race within a race, and you have the top three favorites, Fort Larned, Cross Traffic, and Mucho Macho Man, having identical almost running styles, all wanting to be on or near the lead. And they happen to be side by side by side. And these jocks are well aware if they let one or the other get away to an easy lead, they could win it. However, if they all mix it up too much, it's going to set it up for Ron the Greek or Successful Dan from behind.
Well, Cross Traffic figures to be prominent in that race within the race, and for more on him, let's go to Bob Newmeyer.
Well, welcome to yet another edition of the Todd Pletcher Show. That's right, it was Verrazano and the Haskell, and of course, Palace Malice and the Jim Dandy, and here we are in their Whitney with the intriguing Cross Traffic. This is a late bloomer, only 4 races. Todd Pletcher told me he had shin issues as a 3-year-old, but he started with a bang in Florida, won 2 races for fun. But he made his bones in the Metropolitan Mile. This was at Belmont Park in May, breaking from the 1 post, which, by the way, is no bargain at this racetrack. He blistered through early fractions of 22-2, 44-4, 109-1, shaking off one runner after another. Looked like he was going to win it until Sahara Sky beat him by a zop in the last stride. This was a gutsy and courageous effort by Cross Traffic, no doubt about it. And if you'll notice the gallop out, still plenty of energy after a grueling race. So here he is a couple of months later at Saratoga. Cross Traffic literally crossing traffic here at Saratoga en route from barn to the racetrack. Much to prove around 2 turns, but as Todd Pletcher told me, he says, I know one thing, he'll be out there winging. Here's Donna Brothers.
And Bob, Successful Dan is a horse who can take advantage of that race within the race. While he is the older half-brother to reigning Horse of the Year Wise Dan, at the moment he may actually have more in common with Fort Larned. Fort Larned won last year's Whitney, but he went off as the 7-1 choice, and that made him the 5th choice in a field of 9 after a disappointing double-digit defeat in the Stephen Foster Handicap. Successful Dan also comes into the Whitney off of a disappointing double-digit defeat in the Stephen Foster, but he's been training lights out here at Saratoga. He's had 2 bullet works over this racetrack, meaning the fastest work of the day at that distance right here over the Saratoga track, and his trainer Charlie Lopresti said he's doing better than ever, Tom.
All right, Donna, we'll keep our eye on that 7-year-old Successful Dan, and we're underway on this week's edition of Summer at Saratoga. NBC's coverage of Summer at Saratoga is brought to you by Lane's End, where performance counts, and by Saratoga Racecourse, celebrating 150 years as America's oldest thoroughbred racetrack.
At Scottrade, our clients trade and invest exactly how they want.
With Scottrade's online banking, I get one view of my bank and brokerage accounts with one login to easily move my money when I need to. Plus, when I call my local Scottrade office, I can talk to someone who knows how I trade. Because I don't trade like everybody. I trade like me. I'm with Scottrade.
Scottrade, awarded 5 stars from Smart Money Magazine.
Golden Corral just passed America's Family Budget Act. Right now, kids eat for just $2.99 Monday through Thursday. It's a great value that's perfect for your family budget. This is all your family's endless Golden Corral favorites. It's amazing salads, non-stop incredible entrees, delicious desserts, and much more. All on our legendary dinner buffet. It's the $2.99 Kids Dinner Buffet Special. Yes, America's Family Budget Act gives you the right to an amazing family dinner. Golden Corral, help yourself to happiness.
A car that can actually see like a human, using stereoscopic cameras, and even stop itself. if it has to. The technology may be hard to imagine, but why you would want it is not. The 2014 E-Class. It doesn't just see the future, it is the future.
One sale. One sale dominates Saratoga Stakes like no other. With 10 graded stakes in 2012 alone. One sale company stands out year after year. With more graded stakes winners than all others combined. Keeneland, September. If you seek graded stakes success, why buy anywhere else?
Fantasy capping returns for the 2013 season. Start your own league or join an existing league today to forge your own road to the Breeders' Cup. Log on to fantasycapping.com to sign up. And the horses are on the track for a little bonus coverage. The De La Rose Stakes. De La Rose Stakes on the turf with a purse of $100,000, $60,000 to the winning. And a beautiful sunny afternoon at Saratoga. The turf is firm and the track is fast, and those are our John Deere track conditions. And let's take a look at the odds for the De La Rose with Laugh Out Loud, the 9-5 favorite, and Ruthenia second choice at 5-2. And a look at Laugh Out Loud, who is the favorite in here. Laugh Out Loud, ridden by Javier Castellano.
My little girl would say, why didn't they just name her LOL and save some of the characters? Right. She's going to have to run a lot better than she did last time if she's going to win here as the favorite.
And according to Chad Brown, she had a big excuse. First time in this country, she ran off in the post parade with jockey Gary Stevens, which got her all riled up. And when the gates opened, she was hell-bent for leather and just simply ran herself into submission. So she's got to learn to settle and kind of get in the pocket so she can punch late in this race.
Laugh Out Loud, a group winner in France. And there's a look at Baffle Me,
who is likely to be the speed of the race, who sets it up for a filly like Laugh Out Loud to take back and kind of find her way in the middle of the pack. She comes off a second place finish at Belmont downstate New York and a small stake down there. She'll likely control the speed.
It should be a hot pace because Assateague to her inside has a lot of speed as well, and that's about the only way she can win. So look for fast fractions in here.
And here's Ruthenia, second choice.
And she could benefit from a fast pace, obviously. She's got the come from behind style. She's got a full sister that won more than $1 million, very well bred, well trained, Christophe Clement. She'll be running late.
All right, here it is, the De La Rose, a mile on the inner turf. Tom Durkin has the call.
They're in the gate. And they're off. Stutter step start for Laugh Out Loud, Sweet Little Lion, and Open Water. Open Water at the rail up for that lead. Right next to her now is Baffle Me. Baffle Me and Open Water head-to-head into the first turn. Assateague between horses runs in third. Sweet Little Lion is fourth. Taken up in behind her, Laugh Out Loud. Laugh Out Loud not really having a good journey so far. Around the first turn and into the backstretch run. Baffle Me now up for a short lead. Open Water second by 3. Assateague runs in third. Sweet Little Lion fourth on the inside. On the outside, Miss Montreal is fifth. And then it's 2.5 lengths back to Laugh Out Loud. And another 2 back to a dependable stretch runner in Ruthenia. And another 4 or 5 back to Embar, the trailer. So down the backstretch they go. Baffle Me, Bandy's for the lead here with Open Water. Together they've got a half in 46 seconds flat. It's a solid pace here for the closers. Assateague continues to run on in third. Sweet Little Lion fourth toward the inside. Miss Montreal is now fifth. Laugh Out Loud now being asked to pick it up here by Javier Castellano. They're still about 7 from the front. And then Ruthenia, who's just starting to get it away. Embar is following her into the stretch, and the field turns for home. Here's Assateague sweeping wide on the far outside. Baffle Me trying to fend her off. Ruthenia coming with her run, and so too is Laugh Out Loud. Final furlong. Assateague has come away with the lead. Ruthenia is still closing hard. Laugh Out Loud is moving well late. They're coming down to the finish. Can Ruthenia get to Assateague? No, Assateague a neck. Ruthenia second, Laugh Out Loud third, close fourth, Embar or Baffle Me.
Larned for home, and Assateague under Luis Saez wins it for the owners, Helen Alexander, Dorothy Matz, and Helen Groves, and trained by Michael Matz. Michael Matz became a grandfather for the second time today, as his granddaughter Audrey was born last night, and here he is winning the De La Rose Stakes today.
And Assateague, and jockey Luis Saez kind of changed tactics. Randy mentioned that she might be one of the pace setters. Well, she opened up 8 or 10 lengths in a stake last year at Belmont and crumbled late in the race. I mean, just really faded bad. So this time they decided to take her back. It really worked out, especially when number 1, Open Water, went out with number 5, Baffle Me, and set it up exactly for Luis Saez and Assateague.
Open Water did all the dirty work running out there with Baffle Me. That's the first time in Assateague's career that she has ever won a race when she didn't make the early lead. So maybe she's learning a little something in her 4-year-old campaign.
Pretty heads-up ride by Saez to see that going on early and noticing he didn't have to be the one out there challenging. He was a beneficiary.
And not an LOL trip for Laugh Out Loud.
She did not have a nice trip. So Michael Matz, his granddaughter Audrey Highland, born last night. He wins the De La Rose Stakes with Assateague under jockey Luis Saez. Assateague coming back to the winner's circle after this victory in the $100,000 De La Rose.
Lord, we thank thee for the blessing of this family vacation.
Buy yourself some new clothes. You look like Eminem from 8 Mile.
Maybe find safe passage.
Go, go, go! Nicely done, give it up!
And a bountiful life.
Oh, what's that? I bought a whale. Oh.
Fire bit me!
I can't feel my bingo.
Kenny is fine.
Amen.
We're the Millers.
He might be dead. If he's dead, we're leaving him.
Rated R, Wednesday, August 7th.
A car that can actually see like a human, using stereoscopic cameras, and even stop itself if it has to. The technology may be hard to imagine, but why you would want it is not. The 2014 E-Class. It doesn't just see the future, it is the future.
You'll probably never bat in the 9th inning of Game 7. Or have to make a shot with 20,000 fans screaming at you. Or choreograph an original touchdown dance. But you do have a sport, and every weekend is your chance to take the field. Lowe's, never stop improving.
The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine? The best is yet to come, come the day you're mine. Oh, baby, we've only tasted the wine. We're gonna drain that cup dry.
The world's best compete at the 30th running of the Breeders' Cup. Tickets are on sale now.
Tuesday on The Prophet.
You didn't do what you promised.
Out of my face. Get your ass back here and be a leader right now.
Marcus Lemonis takes charge. Tuesday, The Prophet. CNBC at night is CNBC Prime.
I'm Colin Kaepernick, and with Yahoo Fantasy Football's mobile draft, I can make my picks from anywhere.
You picking yourself? Kind of narcissistic, bro.
Sign up today for the #1 fantasy football game.
Yahoo! Tomorrow, it's back to football. Ryan Tannehill and the new-look Miami Dolphins take on the Dallas Cowboys in Canton. The NFL Hall of Fame game, live tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, only on NBC. And the De La Rose Stakes is official, and here are the payouts. Assateague paying a healthy $48.60 for Michael Matz. One of the owners is his mother-in-law. And so it was a good day all the way around for Michael Matz. Ruthenia second, and Laugh Out Loud was third. And so let's turn our attention full time now to the Whitney Invitational Handicap. We told you was an outstanding field, and here are the current odds with Fort Larned at 5-2, and he is the defending Whitney champion, 5-2 favorite at the moment. And here's why he's the defending champion and why he's the favorite.
He comes in this race of Whitney coming off a win last year from the far outside post. He stalked early and made a huge run around the turn. However, in the Breeders' Cup Classic last year, he took it to him right from the gate and was able to carve out hot early fractions and still hold off Macho Man through the stretch. Look, you can see him galloping out right here. He never gives it up. In fact,
but tactically, this is going to be fascinating.
It really is, because even though he's won 6 of his 9 races off the pace, his best races are the Stephen Foster taking the gate to wire, the Breeders' Cup Classic taking a gate to wire, and really just running the competition off their feet, carving out pretty healthy fractions through the middle. He might have to do that today.
We don't know if he can make the early lead, but we do know one thing. If he runs the same way he did in his first start of the year, March the 9th, at Gulfstream Park, he will definitely go to the early lead. But there's an asterisk here. Watch what happened to Fort Larned and jockey Brian Hernandez coming out of the gate. This was definitely not in the script. Boom! Ouch. Down goes Hernandez, and look at Fort Larned. A lot of horses would just lollygag in the back of the pack without a jockey. Not Fort Larned. He shot to the early lead, opened up 25 on the field around the turn, wound up finishing 9 lengths ahead of the other horses in the race. Of course, none of it counted. He had a 124-pound break in the weights. The Trackus timing system clocked him in track record time for 5, 5.5, 6, and 6.5 furlongs. He ran so fast, it actually probably set him back in the Oaklawn Handicap in his next start, but now he rebounded in the Stephen Foster.
He bounced back from that Oaklawn Handicap dismal performance, really, to beat Sterling in the Stephen Foster at Churchill Downs, one of the best races of the year.
You saw in the picture here, his ears are back on his neck, almost like a jockey's pushing him hard. This horse loves to run hard.
Imagine what a bad feeling it was for Hernandez laying on the track watching the Breeders' Cup Classic winner take off into the horizon without it.
All right, let's go to Donna Brothers.
And we were just talking about and watching the race where Fort Larned got loose at the debacle at Gulfstream Park. When you look back in hindsight, do you feel like that riderless effort maybe took more out of him than you thought?
Definitely did, because that showed up at Oaklawn. I really feel that. And he didn't give me that impression leading up to Oaklawn, but after that, that's really the only excuse I had.
Yeah, so he just didn't show up for the race?
No, he was very flat that day, so he was just a different horse. He wasn't the same horse when I got to the race.
Hey, other than Brian try not to fall off, what kind of instructions do you give him for this race?
I don't give him any. The thing with Brian, you get to grade 1, and if I have to give instructions for my jock, and Donna, you rode, when you get to them top level, if I've got the wrong jockey, if I've got to give him instructions. So it's his race, he knows the horse, so he's got to do it.
Last question. You also train horses for Mary Lou Whitney. Does that give this race a little bit more significance for you, even though this horse is owned by somebody else?
It does, because, Mary Lou, she's a tremendous lady, and what a pleasure to train for. And, yeah, it is a little bit special. If I can do it again, that would be great.
Good luck to you, Ian.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
And we heard them talking about Brian Hernandez. I thought all along he's been an underrated jockey.
He has, and I was particularly impressed last year here in the Whitney because he had ridden him one time in Iowa, the race before, on the lead all the way. And the habit is usually, let's ride him the same way. He allowed him to settle off the pace, and it was probably the reason he won.
Maybe a little Velcro in the saddle today might help. The horse stumbled badly leaving the starting gate, so it wasn't Brian Hernandez's fault.
Nobody was staying on him that day.
Fort Larned, the favorite in the upcoming Whitney Handicap, and there are champions all around us at Saratoga today. Look in the paddock. Here's Rick Pitino, who coached the Louisville Cardinals to the NCAA basketball championship, with Joel Quinnell, the coach of the Stanley Cup champion Chicago Blackhawks. And, of course, Bill Parcells would normally be here today. He has a home in Saratoga Springs, a regular at the racetrack, but he has a little thing about a Hall of Fame induction in Canton, Ohio tonight. In fact, he invited 2 Saratoga trainers to be his guests there, Shug McGahee and Gary Siaka. The Whitney Handicap, our feature today on Summer at Saratoga.
They were the acts that were so mind-blowing that after one performance, they went straight to Radio City. But what they do next, you can't miss. NBC's America's Got Talent Live. Watch it Tuesday and Wednesday.
When it comes to fun, there's no better place than Funplex. And I should know, because I'm the fun bug. Now at the Funplex, it's Splashplex. featuring the wettest, craziest fun under the sun, including the coolest, curviest water slide. The Funplex is your place to play. They have super fast go-karts.
And they're fun, too.
And the Magic Quest Enchanted Kingdom. The Funplex is your place to play.
You got that right.
Check them out at thefunplex.com.
I'm sorry, this is only for the Time Warner cable team.
What's this about faster internet?
With our fiber-rich network, you can get speeds up to 50 megs.
You know Time Warner Cable is the winning team.
We do. We know that.
Internet and TV starting at only $64.99 a
Call
month.
1-855-WANT-TWC.
1-855-WANT-TWC.
I shouldn't be saying this, but if you call now, you get a $300 reward card.
Thank you.
It's time for a better entertainment experience. Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better. Guaranteed.
Hi, I'm Jan. Welcome to Toyota's once-a-year clearance event.
Can I still get a great deal?
Yes, there's lots to choose from, but you'd better hurry. They're going fast. What is that?
This is Ted. He's going to help pick the color.
Blue, we have that. Can you take him? We have that too.
Save big on a great selection at Toyota's nationwide clearance event. Right now, get 0% APR financing on a 2013 Camry. Hurry, the amazing deals won't last long.
Did you find him?
Still looking.
Toyota, let's go places.
We've got your summer sports fix. Sunday, I'm mic'd up.
This was the scene at Santa Anita last year in the Breeders' Cup Classic on the 27th birthday for Brian Hernandez as he celebrated the win aboard Fort Larned in the Breeders' Cup Classic. And this race today, the Whitney, is a win and you're in for the Classic. And we hope you'll join us. The November 1st and 2nd dates on NBC and the NBC Sports Network for the Breeders' Cup, the 2013 Breeders' Cup World Championships from Santa Anita. Well, Saratoga is known as the graveyard of favorites, the graveyard of champions. Only 6 of the last 21 runnings of the Whitney have been won by the favorite. And 40 years ago, one of the greatest upsets of all. On August 4th, 1973, world-famous Triple Crown champion Secretariat came to Saratoga to run in the Whitney Stakes.
Because of Secretariat's great name, how many horses made the cover of Time and Newsweek? And to come here only a month or so after his huge win in the Belmont Stakes, he was a big deal.
And but for a fateful decision by trainer Alan Jerkins to run a hot gelding named Onion on only 3 days rest. That Whitney may have gone down as merely another in Secretariat's long line of victories.
And I thought it could be a chance that he might not run as well as he's been running because he'd run all spring, and I thought he might be a little weak that day.
Onion takes command now, moving quickly to a 2.5 length lead.
Timing was perfect. It was the first time Secretariat ever faced a 4-year-old.
Onion has the lead by ahead. Secretariat on the inside, past the 16th ball. It's Onion in front.
Onion was 4 for 4 in 2 years of racing. Most people didn't know was Secretariat was suffering from a virus.
To say he didn't feel good because he was sick afterwards. The fact remains, if I wasn't in the race, he would have won it anyway, and nobody would have said anything about it.
One of the biggest of many upsets in the 150-year history of Saratoga. Now, who's your favorite horse ever to run at Saratoga? You can answer that question on Twitter, #SpaStars. And, of course, the celebration of the Whitney Handicap weekend included a floral fete parade down Broadway last night, an ice cream social in Congress Park, all presided over by a Whitney, of course. She's been called the Queen of Saratoga. Socialite Mary Lou Whitney and her husband, John Hendrickson, were out and about in Saratoga this week, busy with all things horse racing and charity.
For more than a decade, fans have had limited access to the Oklahoma track to witness the morning workouts. With the dedication of the Whitney viewing stand, once again, fans will be invited onto the Oklahoma track to experience this morning ritual.
And I'm so thrilled that so many people in this community have done so much to make this celebration a success.
And as part of this Saratoga 150 celebration, the well-known couple will give the first of 5 racing fans $15,000 each to place a wager of their own on the horse they like best.
I hope that bringing a lot of to racing, if they can win that money, they could make it into a fortune. I love Saratoga, and I love the racetrack.
And moments ago, here's the armored car bringing the $15,000 in that will be wagered by Kevin Broccoli of Gansevoort, New York. In that case, the $15,000 which he will wager on the Whitney Handicap. And of course, you can't overstate how much the Whitney family has meant to Saratoga. William Collins Whitney moved the racetrack from across Union Avenue over to its present location. Harry Payne Whitney after him. Cornelius Vanderbilt, C.V. Whitney. Sonny, of course, was Mary Lou's late husband. And Mary Lou herself has done so much for the racetrack, for the backstretch workers, and for the city of Saratoga Springs.
Yeah, you mentioned the backstretch worker. I mean, everybody knows the almost limitless things she's done for the city of Saratoga, but for the last 2 or 3 years, I believe, every race day at Saratoga, she and her husband John provide meals or entertainment or some sort of function for all the backstretch employees every single day, which is up to, I think, 42 or 43 now here at Saratoga.
So the Whitney family being memorialized with this race today, and fittingly, it's one of the best races we've seen in America this year, certainly for older horses, as we said. They have combined to earn $11.5 million. And Fort Larned remains the favorite. Mucho Macho Man, 6-1 at the moment. He was second, of course, last year. Remember, Kathy Ridfo, the trainer, is the heart transplant recipient. He was on the Triple Crown Trail a couple of years ago.
Finished third in the Kentucky Derby in 2011. An easy horse to root for. You mentioned Kathy Ridfo. There she is, tightening up the girth. She would be the first female trainer to win the Whitney if Mucho Macho Man can do it. And she's keenly aware of that. I mean, she asked me yesterday morning, have any women trainers ever won the Whitney? She's really excited about the possibility, and she's done a great job with this horse.
She really has. But as good as he was in defeat last year in the Breeders' Cup Classic, he's been really disappointed in 2013. Kathy Ritvo, in his first start, put blinkers on him. That ended in disaster. He got distance at Gulfstream Park, came back in a minor stake, and was just okay. But he's been training excellent. The question is how is he going to react to this pace scenario? He likes to be in a stalking position on the outside, really close to lead, but now he's drawn inside the other two speed horses. He does have enough speed to go if he chooses, but my feeling, especially after talking to Edgar Prado, is if the other two horses, Fort Larned and Cross Traffic, go out, Edgar's going to try and ease him back and work his way to the outside at some point in the race.
Well, John Velasquez, who broke Jerry Bailey's record for all-time wins at Saratoga last week, will be aboard Cross Traffic, 4-1.
Never been further than a mile. Has never raced around 2 turns in any race, because those 1-mile races were all 1-turn races at Gulfstream and also down in New York, a little further downstate. And there he is, but he is an incredibly fast horse. Todd Pletcher, though, you know, the question is, can he get this horse ready to go 1 mile and an eighth? And that leads us to our formulator fact. Over the last 5 years, he's got a 19% win percentage in exactly this type of situation. 26% overall, though. So 19% not that good. You can get more insights like these on DRF's formulator only at drf.com.
There you saw John Velasquez being given a leg up on Cross Traffic as we look at the one-horse Successful Dan.
And his jockey Julien Leproux will be smiling if he sees those 3 horses go out and set a hot early pace, because Successful Dan is very tractable. Even though he's won on the lead, it's been in exceedingly slow fractions at Keeneland and the Ben Ali. His preference would be to be 4th or 5th, something like that, in the middle of the pack, and launch his run as he hit the far turn. So he will benefit from a hot pace early.
And the biggest question about Successful Dan is he as good now as he was last year? Because he's a year older, of course. He's 7 years old, and he's coming off a disappointing race as well.
And the answer to that question, as far as the whispers on the backside, is he's training as good or better than any horse on the grounds.
And he is 7-2, as you see. What about Ron the Greek? He was the favorite for the Whitney last year.
And probably should have won. I say that because he had to go 7 wide turning for home in his furious finish and only was beaten 1.5 lengths or so by Fort Larned at the wire. So with a better trip, and he's surely going to get an honest pace, then he's got a very good chance to win.
He's not as fast as Fort Larned or Mucho Macho Man or Cross Traffic or probably Successful Dan, as you see a little bit of action going on there. That's involving Successful Dan. But Ron the Greek is going to have to get some help from a very, very fast pace, I think, if he's going to be able to beat these horses.
Well, let's see if we can figure out what happened there with Successful Dan.
It's interesting because these horses, when they leave the paddock, they cross the concrete. They go from gravel to concrete where the patrons walk across. And there's a lot of movement. He could have spooked, but he definitely lost his rider, Julian Leperoux, at that point.
Here's a replay of what happened.
Take a look at Successful Dan. Now, here's something that's interesting. Charlie DePresti, the trainer, told us the other day that before his last start at Churchill, the horse in the paddock was very quiet. He said he goes down. Wow. He didn't want him to be quiet in the paddock today. He wanted him to show some spark, but he didn't want to see that.
And of course,
those are flames.
The vets will have a look at him to make sure he's all right. And Julian Leperoux goes back aboard.
Now, you don't want to see that, but that's not a huge deal. He might have a nick or two, a scrape or two on his hocks, his back legs. But in the grand scheme of things, even though you don't want to see it, it's not a huge deal.
And the call to the post for the Grade 1 Whitney Invitational Handicap, $750,000 at 1 1/8. The post parade brought to you by the Daily Racing Form. Number 1, Successful Dan, 7-year-old who is the older half-brother of reigning Horse of the Year Wise Dan. 4th to Fort Larned in the Stephen Foster. Races at Saratoga for the first time, but as we've been saying, he's trained well here. Number 2 is Macho Man. He had an excellent 2012, which included a win in the Suburban and a second in the Breeders' Cup Classic. He's 0 for 2 this year. It was set back by an infection. He looks today for his first Grade 1 win. Number 3 is Fort Larned, who stalked the pace to win the Whitney last year, then went wire to wire to take the Breeders' Cup Classic on the 27th birthday for jockey Brian Hernandez. Comes off an impressive 6-length win in the Stephen Foster at Churchill Downs, earning him the highest last race buyer figure, brought to you by the Daily Racing Form, at 115. And Discovery is the only horse to win the Whitney back-to-back. He won 3 in a row, 1934 through 36. 4 is Cross Traffic, trained by Todd Pletcher, winning at nearly 35% of his horses here at Saratoga, and ridden by Saratoga's all-time leading rider, John Velasquez. Cross Traffic has started only 4 times, winning 2, and had a tough nose loss in the Met Mile. Number 5, Ron the Greek. 2nd is the favorite in the Whitney last year for Bill Mott. A late runner, Ron the Greek, has earned over $2 million, 3rd in the Stephen Foster in his last effort. Number 6 is Alpha. Alpha unbeaten in 3 starts at Saratoga, including that dead heat in last year's Travers. However, he hasn't won since then and broke through the gate before running 4th in the Suburban. Hot rider Joel Rosario aboard for the first time. Number 7 is Chaba, a graded winner named for Hungarian-born artist Chaba Marcus. The only other time this 4-year-old has tried Grade 1 company, he was 5th in the Don Handicap. And number 8 is Fast Falcon. The Nick Zito trainee has only 1 win in 15 lifetime starts, but has kept good company. He was 3rd in both the Brooklyn and Suburban, and look for him to run late in the Whitney today. And that's your field for the Whitney Handicap. Now, it is a handicap, which means the Racing Secretary assigns weight based on the accomplishments of the horse. The more you have accomplished, the more weight you have to carry. Theoretically, to even things out, it would be a dead heat at the finish, theoretically, if everything went right. And as we looked at those weights there, we should point out that Joel Rosario aboard Alpha is 2 pounds overweight, making his weight 117. So there's the post parade, and now the warm-up begins for the $750,000 Whitney Invitational Handicap.
A car that can actually see like a human, using stereoscopic cameras, and even stop itself if it has to. The technology may be hard to imagine, but why you would want it is not. The 2014 E-Class. It doesn't just see the future, it is the future.
One sale. One sale dominates Saratoga Stakes like no other. with 10 graded stakes in 2012 alone. One sale company stands out year after year with more graded stakes winners than all others combined. Keeneland, September. If you seek graded stakes success, why buy anywhere else?
If this much care goes into the chalice, imagine what goes into the beer.
The biggest prize in game show history could be yours. To compete in the event, visit NBC.com. The Million-Second Quiz premieres September 9th here on NBC.
Back in Saratoga before the Whitney Handicap, and there's a look at the favorite Fort Larned, who is the subject of our daily racing form breeding pedigree profile.
On paper, his immediate pedigree, nothing special. His sire is E. Dubai. His dam is a mare named Arlucia. But Arlucia's mother was quite the racehorse. In 1989 and 1990, Bayakoa won back-to-back runnings of the Breeders' Cup Distaff, now known as the Ladies' Classic. Look at those scarlet and silver silks. Those are the silks of Jan Whittam and her late husband, Frank. Bayakoa made nearly $3 million, and her exploits landed her a spot right across the street from the racetrack here in the National Racing Hall of Fame. As impressive as that plaque is, though, as a broodmare, Bayakoa was a total bust. At least they thought she was. 4 foals, won a total of 1 race before she died prematurely in 1997. But although she's long gone, those genes now live on through her grandson. Fort Larned, jockey Brian Hernandez there in those same scarlet and silver silks.
Fort Larned named for a fort in Kansas that used to guard the old Santa Fe Trail. Of course, the owner, Jan Whitman, is from Kansas. Back with the running of the Whitney, the 86th edition, in a moment.
The road to the Breeders' Cup begins at DRF.com. Only DRF.com gives you exclusive coverage of the Breeders' Cup win and you're in prep races. Video previews, expert analysis, and in-depth reporting, exclusive daily racing form past performances, and live streaming video of the key races from across the country and around the world. Nobody covers the biggest days in racing like the most trusted name in the game. Visit DRF.com today.
Somewhere nearby, something amazing is happening. A history lesson is being retold with greater clarity. A vision is being reshaped with dirt and determination. And reliability is up early, plowing ahead. A persistent sun punches through a cloudy sky. A pair of hands is finding renewed purpose. And a pair of genes is getting broken in the old-fashioned way. Somewhere nearby, someone new is finding a way to turn guts, grit, and determination into something that's simply amazing. The new Ram Heavy Duty, with best-in-class towing and best-in-class torque. Guts, glory, Ram.
Test in 3, 2.
I don't like excitement. Take our corporate payment system from U.S. Bank. It's reliable, accurate, easy to manage. With crews all over the country, purchasing and payroll disbursement can't be a big production. And with U.S. Bank, I've learned, no surprises, make for a great show.
NBC Sports is the exclusive home of the Premier League. We kick off the season with 3 days of action, highlighted by reigning champions Manchester United. The season begins August 17th on the NBC Sports Network and continues on NBC.
Ever since a hot August day 150 years ago, the warmer weeks have drawn thoroughbred racing's elite to this spa town in the North Country. where long winters give way to spectacular green. And for a century and a half, summer has been synonymous with Saratoga, a yearly celebration of the sport of kings, a short, sweet reminder of days that were simpler, where champions have come and been humbled by these fabled furlongs, where the unexpected has become routine. On the 150th anniversary of racing in Saratoga, the Grade 1 Whitney Handicap is moments away. And here are the current odds for the Whitney, as Fort Larned remains the favorite, as he has all afternoon. Fort Larned 3-2. He is the favorite here in the Whitney. And let's check with Donna on horseback. Donna, we saw the spill successful Dan took on his way to the track. How's he been doing?
Tom, he's settled down in the post parade. I have no idea what happened when he was leaving the paddock to get this 7-year-old that riled up, but I will say that just a moment ago, Julian Leperoux took him up to the starting gate, and the vet looked at him and felt like he looked good. He looks good to me, and he has settled down in the post parade. You know, just like we saw for the Breeders' Cup Classic with Fort Larned, Brian Hernandez took Fort Larned away from the pony and warmed him up by himself, but he didn't give him that big stiff warm-up like he did for the Breeders' Cup, so I'm not expecting as much speed as we saw in the Breeders' Cup, guys.
Yeah, that's a tip-off, I guess, that they're not asking him to go out with probably cross traffic, huh?
Yeah, and I'm supposing Brian Hernandez, who can go to the lead with Fort Larned, has looked over at cross traffic to see his hair's not on fire, but he's on the muscle. You know, so maybe he is going to defer to John Velasquez on cross traffic and let him go to the lead and get an outside stalking trip.
Here is cross traffic.
Cross traffic, of course, trained by Todd Pletcher, who is just enjoying a sensational meeting here. That great weekend last weekend. And if Fort Larned and Brian Hernandez do permit cross traffic to get an uncontested early lead, that's going to be of huge benefit to cross traffic as he tries to negotiate 2 turns in a mile and an 8 for the first time.
This is totally a game of chicken between Brian Hernandez and John Velasquez as they break and go to the first turn. Who's going to let who go? And maybe they don't let each other go. Maybe they go head and head. And if they do, it's really going to benefit Successful Dan and a horse named Ron the Greek, who was second last year.
There's Fort Larned in the starting gate. And for the call of the Whitney, let's go to the voice of Saratoga, Tom Durkin.
And they're off. Cross traffic sent after that lead. Mucho Macho Man has speed and holds that spot at the rail as they move into the first turn. So it's Mucho Macho Man holding firm down toward the rail. On the outside, cross traffic, who's now stepping out to lead. And Fort Larned's not let it get those two let it get away. Now up there right on the pace and running in third, then a break of 5. Back to Shaba, who's now fourth. Then Ron the Greek Alpha outside him, followed by Successful Dan at the back of the pack. Fast Falcon trails the field as they turn into the backstretch. Cross traffic through a quarter, 24 seconds flat. Fort Larned just a length behind him now. Running along in second, Mucho Macho Man now settles back in third. Then a break of 6 to Shaba, and another 2 to Alpha and Ron the Greek. Drafting in behind those two, Successful Dan. And stretch running Fast Falcon is last behind a legitimate half mile here, 47 1/5 seconds. Approaching the far turn. Cross traffic still maintains that lead. 3/4 of a length. Fort Larned, and now Brian Hernandez says go with last year's Whitney winner. Fort Larned now just a half length behind as they round the far turn, and Mucho Macho Man is making his move too, and here he comes boldly third on the outside. It's a break of 8 back to Shaba, followed by Successful Dan on the outside, down toward the rail, round the Greek, and the field turns for home. Fort Larned has given way. Fort Larned has given way. It's cross traffic. Cross traffic in front by 2 with the furlong to go in the Whitney. Then on the outside is Mucho Macho Man. Ron the Greek down toward the rail. Successful Dan on the outside. Cross traffic wandering to the outside. Now ducking back to the inside. Successful Dan, a final try. Here's the wire. And cross traffic will take his place among the top handicap horses in the country with this victory in the Whitney. He beats Successful Dan and Mucho Macho Man as Fort Larned disappoints today.
Well, Fort Larned was disappointing today, but not so for Cross Traffic. Only his 5th career start, his first time around 2 turns, and the 1 1/8 didn't seem to bother him. He drifted out a little bit in the final 16th of a mile, but then righted himself, continued on, and was the winner in 1:47.4.
Huge advantage going into the first turn when Cross Traffic was allowed to dominate the lead alone in 24 1/5 second. This is about 8 lengths slower than he's used to going, especially in the Met Mile. Too much of an advantage for a horse like this that's got that much speed to let him go that easy, and the next quarter wasn't much faster.
I mean, maybe Brian Hernandez on Fort Larned thought that was the only way he was going to beat Cross Traffic, but he just handed Cross Traffic the win. I mean, I don't like those tactics at all when you have a horse with as much speed as Fort Larned has. I thought he should have taken it to Johnny Velasquez early, and with a horse that had never been around 2 turns before, make Velasquez have to use more than he had to.
But a jockey can only do what the horse under him allows him to do, and Fort Larned was not exceptionally fast from the gate today. It's not like Brian took him back. He just didn't break real sharp, and it wasn't his day. He didn't run his race. He threw in the towel at the top of the stretch. But they all 3 got the race they wanted to get. Cross Traffic on the lead, Fort Larned stalking as he did last year, and even Mucho Macho Man got the outside trip and a chance to win.
I think Fort Larned's better on the lead. I thought they should have warmed him up more aggressively and put him on the lead, or is closer than he was.
Another victory for Todd Pletcher and John Velasquez, who is alongside Donna.
Johnny, what a big race from Cross Traffic today. He could do no better than second in the Met Mile, and this was equally a tough race at a longer distance. What made the difference today?
I tell you what, he broke much better than the Met Mile, and he was a better position out anyway in the outside, so I didn't have to hustle him going to the first turn. And once he got to the first turn, he relaxed really well, and I just kind of let him cruise control around the back stretch, and when it came down to the quarter pole, I asked him, he responded right away.
A lot of the talk into the race was about all the speed up front. Cross Traffic, obviously one of those horses. Fort Larned stalking you throughout the race. Were you concerned about the other pace in the race?
But I'll tell you what, I knew we were committed to at least to come out, run out of there, going to that first turn to see where we were. If I couldn't outrun him going to the first turn, I was going to sit second. But my first plan was to take plan A first, and then we go to the other one. It worked out anyway.
Plan A worked, and Johnny Velasquez, Saratoga's all-time leading rider, gets his 3rd Whitney win. Well done, Johnny. Tom?
All right, Donna, so it is Cross Traffic that takes the Whitney for Todd Pletcher and John Velasquez in the colors of the Goldmark Farm, a colt by the late sire, Unbridled Song.
A car that can actually see like a human, using stereoscopic cameras, and even stop itself if it has to. The technology may be hard to imagine, but why you would want it is not. The 2014 E-Class. It doesn't just see the future, it is the future.
You'll probably never bat in the 9th inning of Game 7. Or have to make a shot with 20,000 fans screaming at you. Or choreograph an original touchdown dance. But you do have a sport, and every weekend is your chance to take the field. Lowe's, never stop improving.
The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine? The best is yet to come, come today, you're mine. Oh, baby, we've only tasted the wine. We're gonna drain that cup dry.
The world's best compete at the 30th running of the Breeders' Cup. Tickets are on sale now.
As the NFL honors its past, Tony Romo and the Cowboys, Mike Wallace and the retooled Dolphins look to the future. It all starts at the Hall of Fame game, Sunday night, only on NBC.
Cross Traffic wins the Whitney Invitational Handicap, paying $9.10. And at the end of his call, Tom Durkin says is a new star in the handicap ranks. Do you guys agree?
I think he goes to the top of the heap.
I do. A mile and 8, a mile and a quarter might be beyond his limit now, the Breeders' Cup Classic. But today he was the best horse in the race. All three of the favorites had their race and had a chance to win.
And of course, a successful Dan, the 7-year-old, closed well to be second. But Cross Traffic is the winner of the Whitney Invitational Handicap at Saratoga today. And a reminder, next Saturday at 5 Eastern, Summer at Saratoga coverage continues on NBC for the running of the 4-Star Dave. Summer at Saratoga continues next Saturday, 5 Eastern on NBC. And join us for an extended wrap-up of the action here in Saratoga. Right after today's coverage, go to nyra.com/summer at Saratoga. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, it's your local news. Tonight, starting at 8/7 Central, it's American Ninja Warrior, followed by the world television premiere of WrestleMania 29. Then at 10/9 Central, it's an all-new Do No Harm. So for Donna Brothers, Bob Newmeyer, Jerry Bailey, and Randy Moss, this is Tom Hammond saying so long from Saratoga, where Cross Traffic wins the Whitney.
Welcome to the U.S. Bank NBC Sports Report. Here's your host, Liam McHugh.
Hey everyone, before we say goodnight, let's quickly update you on the headlines of the day. Starting with the